morning. Hello. I hope all is well with everyone out in the world, as well as it can be. Messy hair don't care today. Um, I'm not really too worried about how I'm perceived. I stay steady with messy hair because sometimes there's things in life we have to get comfortable with. And I think one of them is sometimes life being messy and imperfect. Sometimes we take a lot of energy trying to control and perfect things because we're worried about the way that people perceive them and what other people think. And I think sometimes we focus way too much on what other people think and completely fail to recognize how it feels, which is the most important part. Feeling the flow, feeling the truth, just unrehearsed and, excuse me, not feeling like you have to be perfect in order to be accepted, to be liked, to be seen. Because we live in a world that focuses a lot on vanity and perfectionism, which are both beautiful things in their essence of understanding what they are, but they're not always truly beneficial because they can create, a lot more problems for us at times in life. It's not about not wanting to be better or do better. It's not about not having awareness. I just enjoy my messy hair. So this is who I am right now. I was sitting here writing about these massively vivid dreams that I was having. And which then turned into talking about learning and growing and the things that I've learned in the last few years about life. But this is almost like being recycled back into 3 years ago. I got caught in a time loop where I am reviewing things in life from 3 years ago and getting the chance and choice to make a different decision as we're in between eclipses, and we are also headed into Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde will shake the frame of your car. They don't know your name, but they know who you are. Okay, I had to do that. I can't help it. That song is one of my faves. It's kept my soul alive in the last 3 years. But anyways, so I'm going to share this card because then I was called to pick up my Wild Feminine deck that I read from almost every time that I come on here. And this ocean card I've tried to read 3 times. I'm gonna read it for you guys, and hopefully I'll get through the whole thing. Actually, I may have read it all the way. But it's about returning to source, and the shadow is passivity. A space and place that we sometimes enter in life where we find ourselves maybe comfortably numb, or we lose our fight, or feels as though the fire has gone out in life and has created just a sense of passively brushing life and the world off and not actively pursuing life in the ways that we should actively pursue life, because that's what it is. Listening to our intuition and our calls and watching the things that arise on the inside and the outside and allowing ourselves to be guided and immersed in life. So the quote for ocean is the source, because we live in an ocean of consciousness, an ocean of humanity, an ocean of energy, an ocean of life. And the quote says this: just like a wave can't separate itself from the ocean, we cannot separate ourselves from one another, even when we are alone and separate. We are all part of a vast sea of love and one indivisible mind. Think about that. There's a Bob Marley song, and he talks about one heart, one mind, and it's about conscious coherence of the heart and the mind, the heart and the brain. Conscious coherence. It's about clearing out the junk out of our hearts, the pain, the blockages, walking through the fire and allowing the old things that do not come through in love to be burned and to rise up into understanding that we are all intricately interwoven in this life, and we all matter more than we understand and realize and recognize sometimes. It's about being able to embody unconditional love for life and humanity as a whole, which would be Christ consciousness and understanding that, we all come from the same ocean, the same creator. We're all just forced to experience through our soul's choice, not really through force, but sometimes through force, as life does happen and sometimes forces us in different directions to help us grow and understand who we are as people, to create growing and learning experiences, to allow us to be able to find gratitude, find love, find truth, or find new meaning of life in many different ways. But once you come into a conscious state of awareness, once you awaken, you can never go back to not being awakened. You understand and you know who you are, and you understand how you affect the world around you, and you figure out what your purpose is, your reason for being here, which is not a selfish endeavor. It is about being of service in some way, shape, or form to humanity as a whole. And sometimes that means going through your own obstacles in order to overcome and truly see life for the devastation and the beauty at the same damn time, because we walk through the darkness to return to our light, to be integrated in our knowing that we were derived from the light. Just as we cannot be separated from the ocean of humanity, we also cannot be separated from our light. But I remember personally, and then I'm gonna stop blabbing, but in 2018, 2019, and I'm not really good with dates, so it's random that I even know this date, but I remember specifically because I walked out of a job that was sucking the life out of my soul, and as soon as I left, I felt the biggest weight of release from my life and my body. And since that moment, life has been a very interesting ride in many, many ways, and it has taught a tremendous amount about the ego and what the things that we do to serve the ego, the things that we do to survive in the world that oftentimes hurt who we are instead of help us grow. A lot of times they, stagnate us and hold us captive. Excuse me for getting so close to the camera. That was inappropriate. I apologize. I needed to get a tissue. A runny nose means, unless you're sick, obviously, or have allergies, but a randomly running nose means metaphysically that you have words that are unspoken that you want to say to people. And it creates a constant drip of the nose. I was in the bathroom blowing my nose, or wiping my nose the other day, and I was like, unspoken words that want to come out, and instead they come out as snot. It's a metaphysical understanding of the underlying reasons behind everything, because everything has a reason and everything has a purpose. And sometimes we go through life and we're just like, oh my god, it's just life, here we are, we're just doing the thing, we're living, we're breathing, we're doing, we're humaning, and we get so lost and distracted, and we don't realize how magical it is, how the universe is always talking to us. It's always guiding us in conversations, in people that show up, in things we're presented with, in dreams, in numbers, in symbolism, in then for some people who have the clairs, connected to the clairs, then you're on that plane of receiving and understanding as well, where you're receiving guidance and understanding, from the astral. And when we start to learn and understand and look at life with more awareness and intricacy of understanding the depth that truly lives behind everything, and how your journey is solely made for you. Your journey is solely made for you to grow, to learn, to live, to love, to appreciate, to evolve as a human being. What an honor. Okay, I'm done talking about my own personal experiences, but I think that storytelling in an honest way instead of a fairy tale way is probably a lost art, because we have things to share to inspire. Although fairy tales are great too. I like them. I like to sometimes pretend that I'm in a fairy tale. As I had someone scream at me before, life's not a movie, Courtney. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is. Once we come into spiritual awareness, we understand it isn't necessarily about it being some love story or horror story or rom-com, but being able to understand the magic underlying in everything, the pure essence of everything that is existing, is magic. It's like a giant, beautiful biology project that someone has created in a petri dish and is like, oh, let's add a little bit of this and let's add a little bit of that. And look at all the beauty that lives around us. Every single thing is made up of thousands and trillions of cells. Every single thing is consistent of so many more compounds and complex origins that we don't ever take the time to really think about that. And that is the magic of all of it, and how all of it affects us and how it's all interconnected, because when we eat certain things or touch certain things or engage in certain things, it tells us about who we are and what we're receiving from the world around us, what we're engaged in, what we choose to share, see, and experience in our own experience. It says a lot about who we are, what we pay attention to. Anyways. The card that is the ocean, which is correlated with the Great Mother. When you draw the ocean, it's time to stop everything, all effort and all thought, and to fall into the lap of the Great Mother. Every wave peters out in this vast sea of being. The ocean is where you come from and where you will inevitably return. Ruminate on that one for a minute. Or go back to it. The ocean invites you to let go of form and become essence, allowing differences to dissolve so that your limitlessness nature can emerge. And that's what an indivisible divine mind is. It's talking about treating people the way we want to be treated, honoring each other as though we are one another, understanding that we all come from the same source and the same creator. I shall proceed now. Ocean within. Ocean without. You are the magnificence. You don't have to give up your finite identity, but let it become more transparent and more boundless, until you find that it falls away on its own accord. Ocean's loving arms are always there. Each wave a part and a whole, even as it crests and breaks. That is the same with us. We are individuals, but we are also part of a greater whole. And we can never take ourselves away from that until our lives are taken from this planet. And then we still aren't necessarily disconnected, because our legacy and our essence and who we were in life will be the story that we leave behind to those that come across us, before us, that we exchange with, commune with, connect to, cross paths with. And that's important to remember. Immersed in ocean, in the watery depths of your soul's deepest nature, consider yourself a sensory organ of the infinite. A way for the cosmos to experience itself in detail, so much. The root of the word source, the root. I like to say it like that. I don't know, just for a little giggle, a little inner giggle. The root of the word source comes from the Latin surgere, which means to rise. Latin, a very lost language that is the root origin of almost all language. To rise. The root of the word source comes from the Latin surgere, which means to rise. And I might be saying that word wrong because as I'm looking at it, it's surgere, and I'm doing the best that I can, but I am no Latin expert at all. So that's how I would say it. It's probably wrong. Maybe not. Whatever you call source, love, being, God, and oneness swim in the mystery. What arises in you when any differentiation between self and source subsides? To know this in every cell of your body is to arrive home and end all seeking. We are not separate of the divine, of source, of God, of all of creation from which it derives. We are not separate of it and separate from it until we leave this plane in the physical realm. To know this in every cell of your body is to arrive home. And end all seeking. I have some heart chakra things that are moving around, so excuse the strange faces and movements that I'm making as I am witnessing things release and move around. Only then can you draw from the inexhaustible well of yourself. Who you are, and what you do, becoming one and the same. Every day, riding the tides, you birth anew your sacred purpose in the world, entirely original, provenance from origin itself. Beware, however, the trap of passivity, of sacrificing the vigor of will for the comfort of complacency. This is a direct message to myself right now, that part specifically. Beware, however, the trap of passivity, of sacrificing the vigor of will for the comfort of complacency. Don't collapse into inaction by relying solely on divine will. Self-effort is essential. Otherwise, you might sidestep the collaborative nature of this communion. This is a conversation that I've had with someone praying is powerful. It's enormous. I've literally watched prayer work in some of the most magical and unexpected ways in life. And sometimes some people forget that when we pray for things, sometimes they show up in not the forms we expect, or they show up in ideas, or they show up in people, conversations. This is like the synchronistic magic that I was talking about earlier. How magic the world is and how it works. But we just have to be able to be paying attention. And praying will bring us answers, sometimes from the outside and sometimes from the inside. That are then, therefore, action is needed to be taken on the thoughts or the ideas or the things that we're presented with, but also being able to not just take everything that comes, have patience, and have clarity, and look more deeply into the layers of life. As I can specifically put this into context for my own self, looking at a situation that has come along in life that was presented for a very quick and easy way out, that would not have been a quick and easy way out of a situation, and I would have never learned the things that I have learned along the way since not taking that opportunity. I would have never grown in other ways. I would have never understood life in other ways. I would have never grown as a person in the ways that I have grown if I would have taken an opportunity that I was not 100% sure about. And it's easy to look back and be like, oh, well, I could have been out of this situation already, or I could have moved forward in this way, or because that could have solved this one problem that I have currently, when it was never the answer in the first place. Being able to look at life with hindsight also, and not with grief, not with guilt, with surrender to the choices that we've made and the path that we've taken, and to say, sure, that could have been good for this reason or that reason, and so on and so forth, but look at all the things that I've done, that I've received, that I've created, that I've come to understand, or whatever, from not rushing, not going into a place of comfort and complacency, but then, having to look at that and see clearly to make peace with what it's perceived as something that had been missed. 3003. And actually wasn't. So I'm going to read that again. Beware, however, the trap of passivity, of sacrificing the vigor of will for the comfort of complacency. Don't collapse into inaction by relying solely on divine will. Self-effort is essential. That means applying ourselves to what we're moving forward towards in whatever ways. Otherwise, you might sidestep the collaborative nature of this communion. As the antidote, actively resurrected your ordinary but extraordinary closeness to source. When ocean hears that the fish in the water feel thirsty, she laughs. When the ocean hears that the fish in the water are thirsty, she laughs. Because everything we need is around us. It's also within us. It's just about tapping in, being able to arrive at the place to be able to receive. You are neck deep in source, yet imagine yourself parched. We are surrounded by infinite abundance, plus we are it. A resource of thoughts, ideas, actions, energy, movement, change, initiation. You are neck deep in source. Yet imagine yourself parched. Know you can never come up short if you dive full fathom into the inner ocean of being. Because that's where all of the magic of understanding who we are is. Through doing shadow work, inner child work, through just asking questions. What do we want? What are we here for? What are we experiencing now? And being honest about the answers that we receive. And understanding that it helps us to be able to navigate our own inner ocean as well as the outer ocean that we are swimming in every day. Something that is called by name many other things. The jungle, the devil's playground, the Garden of Eden, the world, life, humanity. It is whatever you choose to label it, because you put truth where truth is and power where power is. And that is how we grow and learn individually and together. So, I thought that was a very beautiful share. Coincidentally, it synchronistically aligns with a story. One last share before I get off, because I'm already 35 minutes in. I went to visit a college and was listening to this beautiful conversation, this beautiful expression about consciousness and the expansion of consciousness, the witnessing of consciousness. And while it was happening, I was literally witnessing consciousness happen and feeling it happen, the expansion of it. And oh my, that is a huge release of a massive blockage. Oh my gosh. Okay. As this man was, excuse me, he was a professor. He was sharing their development of understanding about the effects of meditation on consciousness, and how important meditation is for us, how understanding consciousness is important for us as in humanity. And he was talking about how, you know, we live in the great ocean and how we will return to it when we leave. We are a part of it, but we will also, you know, return to it because it is eternal life, and energy never dies. It just recycles itself. It transfers. It changes form. But it never dies. Energy never dies. It just takes shape in different ways. And this conversation is so unbelievably divinely led. I do not even know what to say except for thank you to the universe at this very moment in time. Thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you for existence. I am grateful to be here and to be a witnesser of the beauty of interconnected, entangled beauty. And I'm gonna stop talking now as I'm losing my voice with this expression. I'm going to go back to my writing. I hope that you have a beautiful and splendid day. I hope that you find some level of inspiration. Sorry for my up close and personal that's disgusting. I'm sorry. For my up close and personal camera views. I'm sorry for my messy hair, but also not. Sorry for the imperfections that I am freely open to sharing, because I do not fear my imperfections. And if people do not like them because they're bothered by it, then they're not my people, and that's okay. We aren't for everyone, but we still have this power of love and respect that we should still offer to the world around us, no matter what. No matter if we like what they say or like what they're doing, we can agree to disagree and remove ourselves from those people, scenarios, situations, environments without having to judge it, control it, or create pain there. So, yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I'm grateful to be able to express 3939 as I wrap up and say, be well. May you all be blessed. Sending you all peace and love.